but they have no knowledge of the rest of the evidence flow network. So one of the directions that I see that this can go is looking at combinations of probabilities. In effect, you're looking at a quantitative and qualitative network. The qualities of the different identity documents that are issued, the quantity of different identity documents that are issued within the network. Okay. Another direction I see this can go is all of the conversation we've had is about financial industries. This can extend beyond that. For example, think about applying PhD, international PhD students applying. What documents or what combination of documents should the university look at? That's another potential application of this research.
I'm still, thinking about the data, and I'm just tossing out an idea on the spur of the moment. I wonder whether there's some other way of even going about the same thing instead of looking for actual fraud documents. It seems to me that there are not that many independent variables that you have, right?
Mm-hmm.
Could you even do some kind of a survey-based research of people who are involved in making these kind of judgments and have some alternative scenarios that you have? You're presented with a document, that has this kind of biometric information, this kind of this, and what do you assess as a probability of this document being fraudulent? Can you approach it?
So if I
have and present each, respondent with several scenarios, and they
let me see if I understand what you're asking. You're saying that instead of limiting the discussion of the independent variables to the actual documents that they look at, is given that they are experts in looking at identity documents, is to expand it to say, okay, we have 200 different possible types of identity documents here.
Right. No, just go with attributes. Say, give them like alternative scenarios. Here's a document that's given to you which has this kind of biometric information. It has this information. These are the kinds of information you see in this document. What would you, assess?
Yes, that I would.
Like that?
I could. Remember, the first stage, as I'm proposing, is to try and first of all understand what those different attributes are. But then once I have those, you're saying to go forward with a survey and say, okay, let's look at all possible combinations of these. Yes, yeah. We
could. You could, there if you went through some association where you could reach, I don't know, people who are involved in these kinds of positions.
Right. It might be the same people eventually, because they're the ones who are most likely to react to these different attributes. But if I understand correctly, what you're proposing is that this is a good way of broadening or of extending the end.
Right. I mean, this kind of a survey you could just mail out to a larger sample.
Okay, possibly. I'm sure I'd have to follow up on that a little bit.
Right,
it's very useful as an alternative suggestion.
That's another.
It really gets frustrated in this confining data.
Yeah, that's another good way. Yes, yes.
Because experts, getting from a pool of experts surveying, that's quite possible.
Because experts are involved in making those judgments.
Yes, that's exactly who I'm looking to for my repertory grid analysis, actually. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Just a thought fragment, excuse me. It also occurs to me, since the probabilities of fraud are going to be, tiny for any kind of documents.
Correct.
You'll need to look into, within the binary outcome models, alternatives of logistic regression. There are various sorts of things that look at.
Yes, correct.
So
yeah,
it's the same framework. But
sure.
And to clarify, those frequencies that we get are only account of the ones that were caught.
Right. Oh yeah.
So the underlying probability could be quite different. So the very successful frauds you never hear about.
Right.
That's the next step.
Yes, exactly. When I go to the
participant observation.
Yes, right. I don't know if I want to observe fraud, but we
have to exclusion.
Okay. Go undercover, Kenneth.
Okay, but yeah,
we can some alternatives.
Sure. But that's
We take it you are in Miami.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah. Yes, I mean, clearly ordered logistic regression will be one of those, but there are others. There are others, yes.
Well, that you mentioned that.
And
I'll talk to Ken afterwards.
yeah. I think I've kind of actually talked about.
Medicare, Medicaid, there's all kinds of documents that you have to present to the medical community for them to get reimbursement from the government. So
Yeah.
that might be.
Yeah, I haven't even talked about medical identity.
Right.
I mean, I've done a lot of research and reading on that so far, but I kept that out of the discussion here. The work that I've accomplished so far, I think we've kind of talked about this already, and it's in the document. I have defined the model for credibility. I've talked about the repertory grid, the outline of the interview questions and the approach. We discussed here quite a bit about the design of the logistic regression model and some of the alternatives that there are for expanding the N for interpreting the results. I have identified the first three so far institutions that are willing to participate, at least with logistic regression and with providing data. And I'm expecting that these people will be willing to point me. I'm also actually working with John Danwicks on trying to get to some of those higher level organizations that we talked about. So I'm going that direction as well. The plans for completion, the repertory grid interviews have to be completed. There is software available for doing that. I'm not sure that I need to do that because I'm not looking at interviewing hundreds of people. But the software is available. And specification and collection of the new account data, we talked about that. We also talked about the alternatives for expanding that as they go to the higher level, perhaps use of a questionnaire, and of course the logistic regression and validation has to be accomplished.
Okay, in the general protocol, we'll take a last round of questions here with Kenneth present, and then we ask him to take a walk. This, along with all the others, is a walk.
How do you define that?
So you decided to go your way.
We have a plank that extends over that pool of water.
You don't have the water anymore.
That's right.
Well, the new building has fountains, so.
Among the committee members, any last questions?
I don't have.
Okay, well, then we ask the visitors to leave. You may provide Kenneth some moral support as he's standing outside. And for those of you who need, we'll take a 1-minute biology break.